All right, kids, there was this English poet by the name of William Cowper who wrote a famous hymn in 1773. See, after surviving an attempt on his own life, the first line of his in his poem, Conflict, Light Shining Out of Darkness, said, "God moves in a mysterious way." And ever since then, we've been saying that phrase when we can't figure out things that we don't want to accept without explanation. Now, paired with that poem was the passage, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." And Jesus, I don't know, man.
Hey, yo, what if the water was hard and crunchy and made out of hair?
I'm sorry, what?
The water
I'm sorry?
No? No?
No.
Why not?
No,
We can make it out of hair and make it crunchy.
That don't sound
We can
good.
make crunchy water out of hair. I just want the water to be worse.
Lord, I don't understand celery or platypuses or how to say platyply plural. Was that it? Did I get that right? Today we're going to talk about the Bible. Really, people using the Bible in order to justify stuff that they can't even find in the good book. The examples that I'm going to use this episode show people who don't believe what they're saying, but you, me, us, we could question it, yet their kind of Christian claims are appeals to authority. Their reasoning is on a spectrum. It's non-binary. On one end, there's God is all-knowing and all-powerful. I paint my entire worldview and decision-making on the inerrant word of the Lord. On the other, there's it's how I was raised, it's what I was taught, yet I keep faith to myself. And I'm trying to get in the middle of all this with my concerns about why those in power are imposing on people's lives using a faith they do or do not have themselves. A lot of citations and relevance is needed for some of those to expose themselves because while they're doing the bidding of GOP Jesus,
truly I say unto you, whoever welcomes one of these little ones in my name might be letting in a murderer or a drug. Let's get her to a detention center, till we can figure out what's going on.
I'm trying to make their block infrared hot like Satan. Their lives aren't based on sacrifice and beyond a reasonable doubt, it's politics as usual.
And instead of allowing Biden and the unions to inject their ideology through graphic pornography like genderqueer and flamer, we want the Constitution, we want the Bible in our schools where kids understand our nation's history and what has made this country great.
That's Ryan Walters, Oklahoma State School Superintendent, admitting that he wants to get rid of books in elementary school and middle school featuring adult themes like genderqueer and replace them with a book full of adult themes like the Bible. Walters is Oklahoma's top education official, and he wants to teach directly from the Bible, even though the Supreme Court ruled against it back in 1963. Look, he simply wants to return Christian values to the classroom like leadership, accountability, and responsibility, which coincidentally is in a state that's ranked 50th out of 50 in education. You know what? Here's how it's done. Watch how Walters responds when a local news outlet asks him if he's to blame for their state's education continuing to be the lowest in the country.
So let's take a look at that question again. K4 gets it fundamentally wrong, which at least you're consistent of being wrong. So we are not in the bottom of education. We've continued to see dramatic increases in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. No, y'all don't care to report facts. Facts are stubborn. Hey, look, K4, I got it. You're fake news. I got you. That K4 will consistently report lies, and I'm going to consistently call you out on those. So thank you for the question. Again, you couldn't be more wrong. You guys, they don't care. And so, folks, I gave you a question. You don't like my answer, but that's okay.
You asked me about my favorite book of the Bible. I told you about my hot daughter. You didn't like my answer. That's okay. Who does this dude sound like? Who is he trying to appeal to? Ryan Walters has a job that determines curriculum. The only thing more amazing than that is the fact that he's had it as long as he has. Well, he is currently being investigated after 2 Oklahoma State Board of Education members said they saw images of naked women on a TV screen in his office during a school board meeting. These 2 said they immediately confronted Walters, who looked at the TV, scrambled for a remote, and shut it off without acknowledging what happened. Sensing a pattern here. And if I can add to it, this wasn't the first time Walters has been caught with adult entertainment.
Don't just send me a bunch of graphic, sexually explicit photos without where it came from or what did they do. That's kind of the problem I've got with it.
Representative McBride says Ryan Walters emailed about 10 pornographic images to him and other lawmakers, without sharing any details about which schools have that material.
His passion for porn and getting it out of schools has him showing it in inappropriate ways. Literally.
McBride asked Walters to attend Thursday's House Appropriations and Budget Education Subcommittee meeting and present the evidence of pornography in public schools, but we're told Walters said he couldn't make it. He was at the Capitol earlier, though, for an education freedom rally.
In the past, Ryan Walters emailed adult entertainment to Oklahoma State lawmakers claiming it was what's available in their schools. I'm thinking it was what was available on his laptop and projected on TV screens that one time. K4, the station that he called fake news, covered this latest porn news story, confronted Ryan, and he, of course, provided no facts or evidence that proved that the board members lied or he was cleared of any wrongdoing and had been set up like he claimed. Here he is going back to his office and evading questions. With that said, and as an underrated YouTuber, I want to share with you an exclusive clip that I have of what Ryan Walters said once he got back to his desk.
I'm not in trouble at all. No. We should be able to look at a little porn at work.
I want to make it clear that my problem doesn't lie in adult entertainment, and Ryan can watch and enjoy whatever he wants, as long as it's not on a company computer, in the presence of others who can't or didn't consent to it, or anywhere near a school. It's his hypocrisy, contradictions, and inconsistency that's the problem. Okay, so that guy wasn't misinterpreting, misrepresenting, or misappropriating scripture itself. His vibe was more evangelically coded. However, let's look at somebody who would never, not one time, let Jesus into this country.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my. You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis.
Genesis 12:3, to be exact. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you, I will curse. And all peoples on earth will be blessed through you, or all peoples on earth will use your name in blessings.
So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it, and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two,
hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
In this case, supporting Israel through providing bombs to drop on Palestine and Gaza. That's the support he's referring to in order to receive his blessing. Makes me wonder if he thinks voting against sending the IDF more guns and ammo is cursing the state of Israel in this context.
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
Hold on, define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked like 49 questions about.
So that's what that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the
God's
descendants of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
It is. Okay.
He being Senator Ted Cruz, out of Texas, by the way. The worst senator. Grandpa Money Munster. Look at him. Getting paid by the American Israel Public Affairs Committee. So when God bestows blessing upon, for example, Abram, who became Abraham, and tells him that he'll be made into a great nation, is he talking singularly to him or about his lineage? And if Abraham's line includes what came to be known as the 12 tribes of Israel, then it definitely includes Ishmael, Abraham's firstborn son, who is the ancestor of Arabs. That's who is being starved as we speak. So Ted Cruz should be cursed. So much for that love your enemies junk. Before I continue, While Tucker Carlson did check Ted Cruz, he isn't getting praise from me. Tucker says that you're saying you're God if you change your gender, and that's done by wishing it, when he agreed with Jason Whitlock, who I've talked about before, and they both think that the left is satanic. And not only to remind you that sex and gender aren't the same thing, nor are they too closely tied to one another. As you might remember, babies, regardless of their sex, used to be placed in dresses in order to make it easier for parents to change diapers. Pink used to be the boy's color, seen as masculine because it's like red, and blue was the girl color. With the ever-evolving history of how gender is expressed and how one identifies their gender, just know that Tuckums is into sun-bleaching balls in order to affirm his. If you've noticed that I focus on one political party and ideology in particular, it's because their side of the aisle is more likely to report being Christian and Catholic, while calling leftists democrats. Put that on there. To them, that's serving a God that doesn't have genitals or chromosomes, yet is a man. A manly man. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them. Again, that ignores gender, but what's God's image? Physical traits or character? If God forbids men from wearing women's clothes and women from wearing men's clothes, would they now consider what Jesus and George Washington wore to be womanly? If that's a no, is that due to the constant changing customs that come along with culture? Prior to the 1960s, it was frowned upon for women to wear pants in these United States. We have come a long way. Not long enough, although the vice president can wear eyeliner.
But there's this old school, and I think it's a very Christian concept, by the way, that you love your family, and then you love your neighbor, and then you love your community, and then you love your fellow citizens in your own country. And then after that, you can focus and prioritize the rest of the world. A lot of the far left has completely inverted that. They seem to hate the citizens of their own country and care more about people outside their own borders. That is no way to run a society.
Vice President J.D. Vance, the non-hillbilly alum of The Ohio State University who dropped the college football national championship trophy and tried to convince a group of steelworkers to be afraid of downtown Columbus because it's lawless. You know, a place that he spent a lot of time in and part of the city that my kids go to in order to get boba. Anyways, what James Davis said about loving your family and then going from there is in no way, shape, or form Christian, let alone biblical. And did you see the lower thirds graphics on Fox News? That nonsense he said was about compassion, something he would deem to be a biblical trait in any other situation. Whatever, let's get back to that family thing that JD wanted to start with. While Jesus was still talking to the crowd, his mother and brothers stood outside, wanting to speak to him. Someone told him, "Your mother and brothers are standing outside, wanting to speak to you." He replied to him, "Who is my mother and who are my brothers?" Pointing to his disciples, he said, "Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother."
And I think the profound difference that Donald Trump brings to the leadership of this country is the simple concept, America first. It doesn't mean you hate anybody else. It means that you have leadership. And President Trump has been very clear about this, that puts the interests of American citizens first.
And I would love to watch JD Vance weasel his way into making it about America if someone asked him what God's will is. And you can make the argument for a Christian hierarchy or something. Yeah, Jesus did keep Peter the closest, then James and John, then the rest of the 12, followed by all of those followers and subscribers and regular viewers who wanted to watch the Messiah do miracles and magic tricks. However, Jesus fed 5,000 until they were full. 12 baskets were left over. They only counted the men then, so it was more than that, but still, all of them. No preferential treatment. Are we to assume that these folks were the same race, color, creed, nationality? A Samaritan had to be in there. A good one and a bad one. The only thing I could think of that seemed to resemble this starting at the center and moving outward mentality is in the book of Acts. And you will be my witness in Jerusalem and in all Judea and Samaria and to the ends of the earth. And that would be like me saying, I'm going to show what I've been reading and studying to Columbus, then Ohio, then America, not Michigan, and to the entire world. But that's sharing the good news, which is done in love, but that's not the same as the act and action of love in particular. Love knows no bounds. Jesus' ministry isn't about political boundaries. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself. For you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Jeez. Oh, and the love thy neighbor as yourself thing. How is this current administration treating Canada and Mexico? And Mexicans? Did Christ demand people to show gratitude when he helped them?
Have you said thank you once this entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
And I'm no expert in the Bible or theology. I'm a black dude that reads a lot. But even I know that the Bible couldn't or shouldn't be used to rationalize white American or Christian nationalism. The Charlie Kirks of the world will intentionally misquote scripture and avoid citing the New Testament of the Bible in order to make his sloth-like sales pitch as someone who doesn't call himself a Christian nationalist, but he admits to being a Christian and a nationalist. So here he is, hey you guysing to bigots. And on the other side of that clip is Dan McClellan, scholar of the Bible and religion, and my current appeal to authority.
Where in the scriptures does a Christian...
Well, thank you. Jeremiah 29:7, demand the welfare of the nation that you are in because your welfare is tied to your nation's welfare.
So that is absolutely not what Jeremiah 29:7 says. And this is an awful argument because Jeremiah 29:7 is addressing a specific set of circumstances and is not generalizable to any peoples in any nation in any circumstance. This is about the exilees in Babylon who, as we see in chapters 27 and 28, are expecting an immediate return to Jerusalem and are seeking their peace or their own welfare in returning immediately from exile. And what Jeremiah says is, get comfy, you're going to be there 70 years. That was God's prophecy. That's going to be fulfilled.
Real quick, the King James Version of that scripture, which Charlie would say at another time is the translation or transliteration he trusts most, says, and seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. For in peace thereof shall ye have peace. And how Charlie Kirk can slither his way into trying to get others to eat that fruit is incredible.
However, to use a New Testament example, as you asked, says in 1 Timothy, pray for your leaders in authority by name that they might make righteous great decisions.
And this has nothing to do with Christian nationalism and is not advocacy for taking over the government or leveraging the power of the state to force others to comply with your worldview.
It's the cherry picking, the choosing which scripture, passage, allegory, story, letter, or epistle that you want applied to your sense and sensibility that I can't stand. It's bull. And if anyone is wondering how a Christian can use such language, well, Ephesians 4:29 says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building up others according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. What have any of these men said that I presented today that has benefited anyone but themselves? Is America First wholesome? I'm fully aware of the fact that the Bible was used to institute slavery. It's also the book that gave Nat Turner the resolve to revolt and rise up. Oh, and that poet from the top of this episode, William Cowper, was a Christian and abolitionist. The Bible describes itself as a double-edged sword. It's dangerous either way. And you can use it to kill and or heal. Think of it like a gun. When used to rob an old woman, it's diabolical. But if that old woman used it to fend off thieves, it's divine providence. All have fallen short of the glory of God. This isn't about perfection. It's about the people who will hear your body is God's temple and make that an anti-tattoo anthem for others, not an argument for them to eat healthy and exercise. Doing dirt with the devil, chasing after the dust. Make a fuss if it's them, but we hush if it's us, said my favorite rapper of all time, Lupe Fiasco, a Muslim. I think the passage on my Instagram profile still says, I love the Lord, but sometimes it's like I love me more. Also a lyric of his. Sound wisdom. You've heard that the Bible is up to interpretation, yet the Bible is clearly up for negotiation. We move through and around and over scripture in order to bargain with what we read and make deals to fit our lifestyles. Politicians and pundits could pastor us into a utopia. Instead, they focus on the queer community, which isn't even mentioned by Christ. And this is from a country that isn't prophesied about in the Bible. We could have had heaven on earth. That's my time. Thanks for watching. We're going to be all right.